Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Hello, folks. Hope you're enjoying your Saturday evening. I'm Dustin Klemann. We appreciate you tuning in tonight. President Donald Trump weighed in today on the battle of who is taking over the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. The president tweeted, quote, "CFPB has been a total disaster as run by the previous administration's pick." Errol Barnett has the latest from Mar-a-Lago.
The White House expects no trouble Monday when Mick Mulvaney comes to work as acting director of the CFPB, despite the fact the agency's director, Richard Cordray, announced he was stepping down early and naming newly appointed deputy Leandra English as his replacement. All of this hours before President Trump's appointment of Mulvaney, a clash with an uncertain outcome until the Senate approves a permanent director.
It turns up being a joke, and that's what the CFPB really has been, in a sick, sad kind of way.
Mulvaney is a longtime critic of the Consumer Watchdog Agency, established as part of the Dodd-Frank bill following the 2008 financial crisis.
The CFPB has been targeted by Republicans and their Wall Street bank allies. They attacked the agency at every turn and tried to stop it from helping consumers.
Senator Elizabeth Warren, who helped create the CFPB, tweeted, "The Dodd-Frank Act is clear. The deputy director becomes acting director." The White House, citing the Federal Vacancies Reform Act, believes the president's action overrules any taken at the agency level. President Trump continued his Thanksgiving working vacation at his West Palm Beach Golf Club today, bringing to 53 the number of his golf visits as president, more than both his predecessors combined at this point in their administrations. Now, President Trump is also drawing a rebuke from Time magazine for claiming he was being considered as its person of the year, but refused because he would have to do an interview and a, quote, major photo shoot. In a tweet, the magazine said the president is incorrect about how it chooses honorees. Errol Barnett, CBS News, West Palm Beach, Florida.
And as Errol mentioned, President Donald Trump could be on track to spend as much as triple the time former President Barack Obama did on the golf course in his first year in office, and as well to play more than the former President George W. Bush did in 8 years in office. Trump spent Saturday at the Trump International Golf Club in West Palm Beach, marking the 81st day that the president has visited one of his golf courses and his 4th straight day at a club. A law enforcement source said Trump played with golf legend Jack Nicklaus, a longtime supporter of the president. It is unclear whether Trump's golf each day he visits a course or how many rounds he does play when he does. White House aides rarely confirm that the president is golfing, but Trump did say so himself on Friday, announcing that he was playing with golfing stars Tiger Woods and Dustin Johnson. By comparison, Obama played 333 rounds of golf during his 8 years in office. At this point in his first year of his term, he had played 26 rounds. Trump said multiple times during the campaign he wouldn't have time to golf.
I love golf, but if I were in the White House, I don't think I'd ever see Turnberry again. I don't think I'd ever see Doral again. I own Doral in Miami. I don't think I'd ever see many of the places that I have. I don't ever think I'd see anything. I just want to stay in the White House and work my ass off, make great deals, right? Who's going to leave?
There won't be time to go on vacations. There won't be time to go golfing all the time.
I'm not going to play much golf because there's a lot of work to be done. You need leadership. Yeah. You know, you can't fly to Hawaii to play golf. If you become president and you go to the White House, why would you want to leave the White House? When you're in the White House, who the hell wants to play golf? Who wants to leave the White House? How the hell do you leave for 3 weeks to play golf? If I get elected president, I'm going to be in the White House a lot. I'm not leaving. I'm going to be working for you. I'm not going to have time to go play golf, and believe me.
Now, Trump's golf outings are notable only because he repeatedly mocked Obama for the time he spent on the golf course and said he wouldn't have time if he were elected president. Internationally, the Egyptian military attacked the hideouts of those they say carried out the deadliest terror attack in that country's history. Hundreds were killed during an ambush on the mosque on Friday. Mo Langi has the latest tonight from Washington.
Egyptian fighter jets carried out multiple airstrikes Saturday on vehicles believed to be involved in the massacre at a mosque in northern Sinai. More than 300 people were killed, including children. Survivors say Islamic extremists took positions around the mosque's windows and doors and opened fire with rocket-propelled grenades as the imam was just about to deliver his sermon. The attackers blocked all escape routes. 13-year-old Abdullah Sleiman managed to get away. Everybody was climbing on top of each other, trying to get out of the mosque, he said. As I tried to get out, a bullet entered my leg. A day after the ambush, hospital hallways were still flooded with the injured. Grieving families claimed the bodies of their loved ones for burial. Militants have killed dozens of Christians in Cairo this year, but Egyptian officials say this is the first ever large-scale attack on a Muslim congregation. Worshippers there practice the Sufi branch of Islam, which ISIS has branded as blasphemous. So far, no one has claimed responsibility for this week's carnage. The president of Egypt has promised to respond with brutal force to those behind the attack. Molalengi, CBS News, Washington.
Other news tonight back here in Montana. New tonight, a woman is dead after being struck by a vehicle in Missoula. The very latest details will be found online, ktvq.com as well as kbzk.com. Be sure to check there for the very latest of that. In court news, more than a year after the murder of a Lame Deer woman, a man is charged in federal court. 34-year-old Whitebird Limpy was arraigned this week in U.S. District Court in Billings on one count of second-degree murder. He's charged with the death of Julia Stump, whose body was found on U.S. Highway 212 on the Northern Cheyenne Indian Reservation. Court documents state Stump was killed in November 2016, but it's not clear how she died. Limpy was charged in tribal court in December, but it took a full year for federal charges to arise. Tonight he's being held at the Yellowstone County Jail without bond. Also tonight, a Lame Deer man is being held on a murder charge for the deadly beating on the Cheyenne Indian Reservation in September. 23-year-old Derek Shoulderblade recently pleaded not guilty in U.S. District Court in Billings to the charge of second-degree murder. Shoulderblade denies he beat 30-year-old Ozzie Lee Wilson to death at a home on the reservation. Wilson was hospitalized and placed on life support before being succumbed to his injuries. The motive for the assault is unclear. Shoulderblade is also in custody at the Yellowstone County Jail without bond. We go to national news. Crowds, are bidding goodbye to a U.S. Border Patrol agent who was killed in a mysterious attack this past week. A private funeral mass was held for Agent Rogelio Martinez in El Paso on Saturday. He and his partner were found severely beaten at a tunnel structure near the Mexican border last Saturday. Martinez did die from his injuries the next day while his partner is recovering. However, he says he doesn't remember anything about the attack of what happened while they were on duty. Attorney General Jeff Sessions also attended the ceremony for Martinez. Federal officials are still investigating who attacked the 36-year-old agent and his partner. Black Friday was a big win for online retailers. American shoppers spending a record $5 billion online, almost 17% more than last year. It's from the data firm Adobe Digital Insights that tracks online spending. Early estimates show that the brick-and-mortar stores may not have done badly either. Another data company, Shopper Track, says the foot traffic in traditional stores dipped only 1% this year. However, it's yet to be seen whether or not the store browsing led to more sales. Some experts say that Cyber Monday could be even bigger than Black Friday, with as much as $6 billion in online sales. What's good about that is that, well, if you need to go outdoors to use the computer, it'll be nice on Monday. Yeah. Rob Gregg's joining us to talk a little bit about that. I tried to shoehorn it in there.
That's great, man. You do a little veranda shopping on Amazon.
Yeah.
Swell. And tomorrow's going to be a great day for that. It's kind of a one-day sale, though, of sorts, because the weather's going to be changing. See, it's like a team. It's like we work together. Show you a couple of quick pictures right now from our Q2 Facebook page. The day started off wonderfully. Sheila Draper calls this the start of a really good day today. Beautiful shot. And, of course, Orlando Dolan gave us the end of a really good day. Another great shot as folks just enjoying the Thanksgiving and beyond gorgeous weather. What are in the headlines for us? Well, we sort of hinted toward some near record high Sunday afternoon temperatures on the way. But then cooler temperatures move in Monday, and it'll stay closer to average next week as far as highs are concerned. What do those temperatures involve? I'll have that with all the information on the Q2 Storm Tracker forecast up next. Dustin?
All right, Rob, thank you very much. The Salvation Army Red Kettle campaign began more than 100 years ago. Now the giving season is officially underway here in Montana.
As the beginning of Salvation Army Red Kettle Kickoff, let the sound of hope ring out in Billings, Montana.
Mayor Tom Hanel reading a proclamation for the kickoff here in Billings. Former Mayor Chuck Tooley and Mayor-elect Bill Cole also part of the festivities. Robin Hanel put in the ceremonial first donation. An anonymous donor said it would match every dollar collected today up to $55,000. We hope to get a number for you of what was raised today. The Red Kettle campaign is the Salvation Army's biggest fundraiser here.
What they do for those that are less than fortunate in helping not only our military men and women but families for many years, not only providing them with the warmth and the food and the shelter, but what they do for each of our communities in a time of need is just remarkable. It just shows that much more support for the Salvation Army.
This has been a hand-in-hand effort between city government and Salvation Army for decades. It's important in their work to serve the needs of homeless people, of people who are in a bad point in their lives. This is a nice, convivial atmosphere.
An important part of the mayor's position is to let people know what's going on in their community and sing the praises of people like the Salvation Army who are doing so much for our community. There's nothing that sings Christmas more than the Salvation Army bells.
Wherever the needs are, we just, the Salvation Army is here to meet those needs that are struggling and help those to stabilize their lives.
24 locations can be found of red kettles throughout Yellowstone County. Still ahead on the weekend Q2 5-10 o'clock news. Now, Small Business Saturday providing the boost to mom and pop shops. See who is driving the trend of small shopping. Plus, married 85 years with quite the story to tell. You'll want to stick around for their story. And later in sports, hear why the Billings West girls are excited about their new taller look.
You're watching MTN News with Dustin Klemann, Storm Tracker weather with Rob Griggs, and sports with Casey Conlon. This is the Q2 10 o'clock news in high definition.